This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
Hey, and I'm your host, Jason Glick.
How are you doing, Jason Glick?
I'm doing just fine, John. And yourself?
Oh, I've been better, but hey, this show isn't about my life.
Yeah, well, not yet anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Not until hey, it would be if somebody decided they were going to, turn it into a graphic novel or a series that would come out every week. But yeah, no.
Yeah, or until you get your own podcast blog, which, yeah, hey, is happening in the future, I hear.
Yes, to be revealed, coming up. We'll see what happens here, but yes, and just to let our listeners know that soon we will be also having a website redesign for your lovely podcast, sir.
Yeah, podcast and blog, and it's going to be basically like our webcast, our podcast and blog version of a new, shiny new #1 issue of the kind that I get annoyed so much by how Marvel and DC like to pull these out. But hey, it's like I've done it once, so hopefully the theory is that hey, maybe I won't need to do this again.
Mhm.
So, but we'll see how that goes. And if you're listening to this from the Libsyn side of things, and you already know which way we're going.
Exactly. So, what do you have on tap for us tonight, sir?
Okay, well, as the slightly fancy name of this podcast title implies, I'm going back to a series that I've originally done a podcast about, Bokurano Hours. I originally talked about back in March of 2011, which is the virtual eternity by how the internet measures time, and and I talked about this series when I had when the first 3 volumes had come out, and I was ready to. I figured, hey, you only need like 3 volumes or three series from a creator in order to do a podcast about. But now we've reached the end of the series, and I find myself wanting to go back, do the full reread, and give my thoughts on the series as a whole. Now this series the manga has had a long shadow cast over it by the anime. If you've been reading my blog posts on this over the years, and I originally came to know it from this other anime series, an adaptation of a work by its creator Mohiro Kito. Kito originally did a series called Narutaru or Shadow Star, going by its English appropriated name from the Dark Horse manga, which basically had a 12 or 13 episode run that was one of the most traumatizing series I've seen while watching anime. Not so. Basically, it's basically take on this kid on the ET kind of genre of kids finding an otherworldly alien who will be their friend and do whatever they want. And there are some of these kids who being kids and all, they'll find ways to just make these aliens and friends of theirs do just about anything, like anything, including kill and maim and whatnot. And the series turned out to be not just traumatizing just for those parts, but also for the cruel bullying scenes as well, which is holy crap. Some of this stuff was really hard to take, but it's also like compelling in a sick way, in the sense that what's going to happen next. And so when my buddy David and I, when we were still watching anime on a regular basis, when we heard that they're doing another series from manga adapted by the same guy, okay, we gotta watch this because holy shit, like the experience we got from watching Narutaru, it's like well, like what's Bokurano going to offer? I mean, this is a series where where a bunch of kids on a junior high kids on a nature trip wind up being contracted to fight fight battles with a giant robot, but at the end of these battles they die because the giant robot's using their life force as its power. How that's going to make the recipe for just like even more traumatizing and compelling entertainment than along the lines of what we got with Naruto. Now, thing is though, the series was at least in my book, infamous for the fact that its director, Hiroyuki Morita, best known up until that point for directing The Cat Returns from Studio Ghibli, basically went on record as saying he hated the manga and basically wanted to find a way to save the kids, from their fate. and this went out around episode 9 or so, and we figured, okay, that, and at that point you can kind of see a trend of the series from going from some of the more traumatizing parts to being something more warm and fuzzy and conventional. As I've read from the news exchanges on Anime News Network, apparently creator Kito gave the okay for Morita to do this on the grounds that, hey, yes, you can say them, don't use magic. So, which, hey, I can deal with that. That's a good enough reason to say. But the thing is, I've been reading when I started reading the series, I figured, okay, now we're going to get the series unfiltered. We're going to see all the traumatizing, hard to read stuff that Morita didn't want to put in the anime in the manga, because the manga for just about any series is always more violent, more fan servicey, more it's like more brutal than the anime adaptation. And and I've been writing pretty regularly about this series, and I've been generally entertained, even though I've had my issues with it. And I'm rereading, and so let me get to the review proper for this. And rereading it, I still feel that the journey was definitely worth it. Volume 11 does offer up a worthy end to the series, but also it let's see, it also, but the most entertaining or interesting parts of the series are when it goes in the into directions that you don't expect most mecha shows to go to. Case in point, the let's see, the parts in volumes 1 and 2 where you've got Masaru, the kid who his dad's a big time business contractor, and and when he gets the chance to pilot things, he just goes and just stomps all over the the environment, like the cityscape environment where they're fighting, because these battles take place where the kids are. And he says, hey, these kids are just kind of like, and Masaru figures, hey, it's like these people aren't chosen like my dad, who's like a big shot, and it's like, so hey, so who cares if they die? And that's an attitude you don't see very often in mecha series. I mean, acknowledging the fact that that there are people who die in whenever the buildings blow up and in the collateral damage. I mean, you don't see that in just about any kind of mecha series, period. But then for Masaru to take the idea that, hey, these people don't matter, and hey, I'm fighting the battle here. That's even taking things a step further. And of course, really, Kito kind of shows his hand here when it's like when Masaru winds up accidentally killing his dad in the process of this, and it shows you that yes, that there is that Kito does have a moral center in this series, and there are certain lines that he's not quite willing to cross. That there is, it's like there are some things that there is a moral. The series does have a moral compass, and it more often than not points north more often than not. Well, not more often than not, just about always does. Anyway, but then you also got the part where I talked about in the it's like in my previous podcast, when you get to volume 3, and then you get to let's see, when you get to Isao's arc, and it's like, I just want to reiterate this. I'm pretty sure I talked about this in my previous podcast. Is that like Shinji Ikari gets a whole lot of shit for not having any balls, in terms of just doing the right thing and fighting the angels in Evangelion. But if you really want to see what it looks like for a character to have complete and total fear and cowardice when it comes to fighting the aliens, read Volume 3 and witness Isao's arc. He just cannot deal with the fact that he is going to die, and that he is going to have to fight this other giant robot in order to save all of humanity from being wiped out. And he just completely loses his shit, and it's only through the really brutal acts of two of the other cast members that that the human race manages to avoid being wiped out in these. It's like in this battle. So yeah, that's something that something like that. Just that pure abject fear and just not being able to deal with things. Yeah, again, that's something you don't see like in the mecha genre. It's like, I mean, it's always the kid winds up manning up in the end when he realizes what's at stake, and then he who overcomes his issues and does the right thing. Even Shinji does this at the end, like in Evangelion. It's like whenever he runs away, he always comes back and it's like, and saves the day in the end. If you want to see what happens when that doesn't happen, when the character doesn't have the guts to do that, Volume 3 of Bokurano. But then he ups the stakes even more when it's like, well, for the pilot who does take up after Isao, Chizuru, she uses it as a score settling device, as she had a relationship with her junior high teacher, and it's one of those, it's like, okay, everything was great until he passed her off to his friends and they had her way with her. So she's got reasons to get even, and she does that. It's like in her battle as well. But unfortunately, it's like the things don't go as easily because the road to vengeance is not a straight line, and and her efforts are ultimately stymied by the fact that if she was going to have her revenge, she would have to kill her sister in the process. It's so yeah, that's the kind of method the Bokurano operates under. And it's like, even though it's like even though it's like it teases, no, it doesn't tease. I mean, it's like it shows that it's willing to go to certain lengths, but at the same time, you're not going to go. It's like, now that he's established these particular things, like what happens when a kid doesn't have the guts to pilot this thing? What happens when the pilot uses it to settle scores? Then Kito falls back on the kids. Just how are they going to fight these things? It does kind of. I mean, they just, you've got their own personal. It's like personal struggles. I mean, you've got Kunihiko, who has. See, who we're told was originally going to use the mecha as a score settling method, but dude has one of the most respectable and honest faces like in the series, and I just don't believe it because it's like he's just like he winds up in a kind of like a love triangle with his best friend and the girl they both like. And the resolution to his arc is very O. Henry-esque in the sense that yes, he saves them, he saves his best friend, but at the same time does it in a way that doesn't allow him to be with the girl that he likes anyway. He also kind of crucially misunderstands the whole situation as well. And that's the other thing, because after the whole Isao Chizuru arc, all of the kids afterwards, I don't know if they were just shocked into just okay, this is how we have to be for the rest of the series. But the series, they are kind of like not really saints, but just really good, honest people. And so that the series does kind of fall into a kind of a, okay, there are these, we got these kids, they've got their agendas. It's like they're gonna try their best to save the world no matter what. I mean, you've got bits where Yosuke, who's the sad sack kid who's in life is basically bullied by everyone, and he's it's like, and he has to he has one of the he has a great cliffhanger where he winds up dealing with the teacher who's in the relationship with Chizuru, and while his interactions with the teacher are really interesting, the talking heads bit with with their military liaison afterwards are just kind of like, okay, yeah, it's like we realize that you've got to justify taking the life of another pilot in order to save the universe, save our Earth, but at the same time, you're like, the dialogue here is just so verbose and boring, and just kind of like, taking a really long time to get to a conclusion that we already knew. So there, and so, and that's kind of like the case with most everyone else. I will say though that that rereading this series, um, two of the characters, Jun and Koyemshi. Koyemshi is their mouse like avatar that guides them through these it's like through these fights with other with see with other robots for the fate of their Earth. They it's like I wrote in the blog that the fight where Jun's little sister go like enters into a contract to be one of the pilots, that it didn't really engender like a lot of sympathy for the character, in the sense that Jun had been kind of like a dick throughout the entire series, and the scene right there, just in the events of that particular volume, just kind of like felt like he was trying to force a change in the character's mindset. Rereading the series, I realized that Kito did actually do more to soften Jun's approach or mindset as the series went on, and I like it. I'm actually like rereading it. His encounters with his sister, like as he finds out that she not that she is one of the pilots, but also the fact that he's not actually her blood related sister, that he's adopted. That it's it yeah, it's like it's actually kind of like heartbreaking to see him, this guy who's just like has no problem with beating his sister because he's upset, to have him actually just suddenly realize that I can't do this because she's not my sister and she's going to die. That's actually kind of heartbreaking. And then you've also got Koyemshi, who is even more unsympathetic than Jun, but when his sister Yoko agrees to fight, to enter into a contract and become one of the pilots that will fight for the fate of this Earth, it's like he just kind of loses his shit in his own particular way, and it's like and indirectly as a result of that, and as a result of the relationship that Yoko and Jun create, it's like he winds up losing her as a result. So and even then, like there's, like I said, rereading this the series did soften some of my more pointed criticisms as I've written on the blog, and it's like really it's like getting up to volume 10, which does that great bit of settling accounts, and it's like and catching everyone up on the after effects of the it's like of what happened to the families of the kids that gave their lives so piloting this mecha. It's like it's really one of the volume series high points. What I still can't get around is the fact that the teacher who who had sex with Chizuru and then passed her off to his friends escapes basically scot free. I mean, we're given the excuse that that her dad could press charges, but at the same time, because of what his daughter did, the chaos she caused in trying to get revenge, kind of like negated that that kind of approach. Like he's saying he lost the moral high ground, in other words. And I say, fuck that. So this is like the military was well aware of what was going on here. They should have just had some guy show up at his place, shoot him in the gut, watch him die, and then go, and then just like, and then that would have given us some some closure as well. I can see what Kito was going for here, in the sense that it's like it's just who has moral superiority here, like how can you just like properly achieve vengeance with that kind of feeling, but it's not satisfying. The fact that this guy basically has sex with a girl and ruins her life, just does not sit well with me at all. Anyway, but getting on to the final volume. The final volume is basically Jun, steps up and gets to be the pilot, and but also has to say goodbye to his dad as well, because his dad has now lost two kids as a result of this mecha, and just what his dad goes through is just really heartbreaking. But even then, Kito is not pitiless in showing that that his dad still has something to live for after all this is said and done. But with Jun's final battle, it's an away match, and see, and it takes place on another Earth, and and Jun does after he gets his head in the game, he manages to get the upper hand on the other mecha, but just before he can finally strike the killing blow, one of their one of the opposing side's Koyemshi shows up and lets him know that there's something going on here. But then, so when Jun opens up like the cockpit for the other team, so he sees a guy who just is like elated that the cockpit isn't opened, and then he disappears. So now Jun is faced with the whole needle in a haystack approach as to how to deal with this, and I like the idea that it's implied that that Koyemshi is suggesting to Jun that, hey, this is a trap here. We've got to just go and take them out right now. But because of all the stuff he's done through the course of the series, Jun just can't trust him. So I can get that, but at the same time, it still feels just a bit contrived because of what Jun has to do in order to solve this problem with this pilot who's disappeared, and he has to kill him in order to save his Earth. Well, if anyone's listened, I don't know if this is where they got it from, but any fans of Megadeth, specifically Countdown to Extinction and the song Captive Honor, there's a bit in the song where they go, if you kill a man, you're a murderer. Kill many, you're a conqueror. Kill them all, and ooh, you're a god. In this part, in this final volume, Jun puts in his candidacy for godhood. We don't know how far he gets, but we get to see how he deals with it and his ultimate acceptance of his role within the group that he had shunned for so long. On one hand, I get what he's. I see what Kito is going for, and it generally works. The fact that it's kind of like it feels very mechanical in the sense that this happens and this happens and this happens. It's like it's not quite as satisfying as it should have been, but at the same time, though, understanding the enormity of what he has to do does go a long way towards making us accept this. And also, I will give Kito credit for the fact that the character design he does for the pilot who jumps off is genuinely creepy and does sell you on the fact that this guy ain't all there. He's got issues. It's like, in fact, he's got real issues. So, but then you get to the final chapter, Koyemshi, and then you find out that hey, there are some. I mean, like I'm not asking for the whole mythology of Bokurano to be explained. Why there is this system in place to eliminate parallel Earths by giant robot battles. Hey, I'm cool with that. I mean, I've read reading Jonathan Hickman's Avengers. I can accept this as just kind of like a universal system. This is just something that, hey, it's part of the universe. It's just making sure that there's enough variety in the multiverse for Earths to for individual Earths to thrive and seek and develop in their own way without a whole lot of redundancy. But as far as bits like how Koyemshis are made and how one stops being one, that might have been nice for the final chapter, considering it shows you that the Koyemshi that we've been following, well, he has learned a thing or two, from his experiences here, and I do kind of like that, and it does kind of. Basically, the series ends with him leading a new group of characters with hopefully the chance to do things better, or at least less traumatically than had been done before. And I can accept that. And before I forget, I will say that I expressed deep, deep concern that the appearance of a character thought dead at the end of Volume 10 was kind of a cheat. But it turns out that, hey, it turns out to be a very, very simple thing that isn't explained clearly in the series. Because, hey, with all these parallel Earths, it stands to reason that there will be, a couple doubles of certain characters, as a series, as they go on. And it turns out that this one was just sent off into hammer space or something, like before the before the start of the series. So overall, I mean, I did enjoy Bokurano. It's like like I said, it has a compelling premise, but also at the same time, it doesn't. I mean, like the threat of constant threat of kids, dying as a result of their involvement with this mecha. And it seems like it was so shocking that that Keto didn't feel the need to really take the series in really unexpected directions, or that the pushback from when he did was far greater than he expected. And so he just kept things more conservative, as the series went on. Oh, and he's apparently got some real issues with America as well. It turns out, or our particular feelings of exceptionalism, as is seen with the arc where one of the robots takes up root in Hawaii and starts taking things out. Apparently in the in the history of Bokurano, Japan beat America in some sort of conflict that is not clearly explained, but they got nukes along the way, so there's that. So, but aside from this stuff, I mean, Bokurano is still an interesting character study for for seeing kids thrust into adult positions and having to deal with the fear of death and how to fight a giant robot with the with the means they have at their disposal. I enjoyed it. I do wish that we had gotten more parts where show the kids to be the majority of the kids to be less than saints, but what we got, I was still entertained by. John, any thoughts on your end as you're listening over there?
Well, outside of the fact that why do mecha series always have to have a shonen like boy? I've never
Oh
really.
no, there's like plenty of girls on this series as well.
Sure. Well, maybe I should rephrase it. Why does it have to be so? Like, why is it the adults aren't the ones that have to do it? I mean, it's a common theme in so many of these. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I enjoy that, but still, it's just kind of like, well, what about mecha piloted by adults?
Well, I mean, I mean, at one point, some of the adults do sign up, but things happen to them. Things happen to at least to one of them before their number comes up.
Yeah.
And also, even like I said, there's not a lot of exposition into the mythology of the mecha themselves. Like it is one of the things that is tossed off at one point is the fact that apparently these mecha are stronger with the younger their pilot is.
Oh, I understand completely. So, yeah, and I've seen that as well. The adults are incompatible, therefore we have to use them. So
Yeah.
it's you can pair that right along with that same concept. Not that it's bad. It's execution. It's all about the execution of a series. So anyway, what do you have for us next time, sir?
Yeah, that's it for right now. But next up is the finale for another series that I've been talking about for a little while. Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips' Fatale, and while everyone loves that series, it's like I think it's just I think it just goes to show that like a okay series from these creators is still better than other people's best efforts.
All right. Well, I guess we'll have to wait on pins and needles until the next podcast arrives.
Damn straight you will.
All right. And we'll talk to you next time on Comic Picks by the Glick.
Bye.
Bye.